All right, what's up, my friends? Kamigawa Neon Dynasty complete set review. The last section, the colorless cards and the land cards. We do white, blue, black, red, green, and multicolored. You missed any of that, it's all on YouTube. Go watch it, all right? Make sure you like, comment, subscribe as well on YouTube, folks. I means you. You. Hit the like button. Right now. Hit the button, all right? So, full set review, constructed and limited, going over every single card. Let's just jump right in. We got to do this. We got to do it now. With Automated Artificer, we have a 2-mana 1/3 artifact. Add a colorless only to cast an artifact spell or activate an artifact ability. There are a good amount of artifacts in this set, and a 1/3 mana creature is a passable thing to do. But very, very, deck dependent, limited wise as far as those make your deck. Constructed, this card could see play in constructed. This card could see play for sure. It is reasonable enough. They don't make too many mana rocks anymore, so this is like passable, but kind of just, a whatever filler card. Kind of a cute art too, but kind of cool. Kind of cool. Next card here is Bronze Cudgels. 1 mana equipment. Pay 2. Until end of turn, equipped creature gets +X/+O, where X is the number of times this ability has resolved this turn, equipped for 1. So you pay 2. +1/+O. Then play 2, +2/+O. So 3 total. Then pay 2, +3/+O. This card is funny, but very, very slow. Very, very mana intensive. Doesn't actually do anything by itself. As such, it's kind of a bust. Feels kind of like a sealed card, where like if you just need a mana sink, to the mid to late game to kind of push through, this can do that, but realistically, this card is just not very good here. A lot of mana. It's a lot of mana. A lot of mana. Moving on to Brute Suit. 3 mana for a vehicle. Crew 1 Vigilance. This is kind of like just like your generic vanilla vehicle. Obviously, if your deck has vehicle stuff going on in it, this will do that. Brute Suit. Riot. And my voice is going, folks. My voice is going. But yeah, this card doesn't seem particularly great. Vigilance is fine, but super awkward on a vehicle because you need to crew it again to block. So for the most part, this is just like a 4/3 beater. You have tokens lying around, some bad creatures. I don't know. This card doesn't seem very good to me. I doubt this card is going to play super well. Renegade Freighter, this is not. Yeah, this is not for sure. Probably just a very middling card, limited. Not super exciting. Not super exciting. Up next is Circuit Mender. The Poor Fox. The Poor Fox. 3 mana for a 2/3. EDB gain 2 life. When it leaves the battlefield, draw a card. Note that it says leaves the battlefield, not dies. So pretty cool ninja enabler. You ninja it, you bounce it, you draw a card, you play it, you gain some life. Pretty good limited card. Realistically, like, this card is just a good limited card. Like, even on rate by itself. A 2/3 that gains life and draws a card is great. Constructed, not really good enough. This sort of like Bottle Gnomes-esque card. It's just too small ball for limited for the most part. But yeah, good draft card for sure. Easy card to take early because like it's an open card you'll play in most decks. Yeah, and then if there's some sort of like super low to the ground red aggro deck that has a lot of burn spells in it, this could see some play. But yeah, Circuit Mender, there you go. Next up is Containment Construct. 2 mana for a 2/1. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. If you do, you may play that card this turn. This card's good. This card's good. Just a really good ability. People are saying this card can be really good in older formats with Artificer's Intuition and like LED and stuff like that. That's a thing for sure. But even just like on regular rate, just like discard a card, do whatever, and then you can just play it. So if there's some, like for example, if this card was legal with Smuggler's Copter, I know Smuggler's Copter's too good. I'm just saying, if there just like are ways to discard cards for value, Blood does that too. This card is just like a card draw engine, which is super sweet. So super cool card. I can cast your channel cards also. This card's great. This card's great. I don't know if it's like good enough for constructed in like a fair context, not like a combo context. But it's got a lot of power, honestly. Card's super sweet. I like it a lot. It's very good blood. It's very good bloods, of course. It's great. And limited, just a great card, I think. It's a great card, limited. Dramatist Puppet. 4 mana for a 2/4. ETBs for each kind of counter on a permanent. Put another counter on that permanent or remove one from it. This feels like an absolute filler card. Like, the body's terrible, and you're just not getting enough for the value here. Not a great card. Not a great card. Eater of Virtue. Bone Splitter is back. I love Bone Splitter. Bone Splitter's in my freaking cube. I have a Vintage Plus or Legacy Plus power level cube, and this card's in my cube. Or Bone Splitter's in my cube. Bone Splitter's out. This card's in now. But 1 mana for a legendary equipment. Whenever the creature dies, it's equipped, exile it. So it feels like a drawback a bit, but whenever a card is exiled with this, the equipped creature gains any abilities that creature has, keyword abilities. Creature gets +1, +2, +0, equips for 1. Super cheap, super efficient. Bone Splitter is already good enough for constructed, honestly. Like, it's just cheap. It's cheap and efficient, Rancor adjacent. And then the ability part of this card is also great. If you have a flyer, now this gives flying also, just super cool. So the only downside here is that if you have death triggers, this card obviously won't work with those. But for the most part, this card's super, super cool. Being legendary does limit it a little bit. You can't play that many of them. This card feels a lot like Shadow Spear to me, where it's just like this really solid equipment. You can't play too many of them, but it's pretty powerful. I think it's worse than Shadow Spear, but it's still very, very good. Doesn't stop that triggers. Oh. Every creature dies, exile it. Oh, because it has to actually die. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sorry. It's trigger. My bad. My bad. So it does work with it. So there's no downside at all. Just great. It's awesome. So bad with Bloodghast, I guess. But aside from that, still pretty sweet. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So the kind of card, I don't think this card is like good enough for like older formats. I think this card is mostly going to be good enough when Bone Splitter is good enough. And the extra text is gravy. But I love it. It's great. I'm all about it. This card will definitely see play. Bone Splitter is insane in limited. And this card, this is probably the best first pick in the set because it will always make your deck and it'll always be awesome. So probably the best first pick in the set, just by virtue of being kind of like Shadow Spear was the best first pick in that set. But yeah, card's great. Love it. Super great. Gonna put it in my cube. I'm pumped. I'm still awake. It's awesome. Up next is Ecologist Terrarium. 2 mana for an artifact. EDP, search for basic land, put it in your hand. And then 2 mana to sacrifice the terrarium. Put a counter on a creature only as a sorcery. This card's kind of cool. It is similar to Traveler's Amulet or whatever those cards are called. And then it's 2 mana search for a land. Not necessarily, the best rate of all time in limited, but if you're splashing, sure, it works. It works. And then it has a little extra bonus on there as well. Unfortunately, the effect is kind of like what an aggressive deck might want when you don't want to play a card like this. But realistically, like, it's just some value. Just some value. Art's pretty cool. But yeah, this is a limited card. If you're splashing, play this card. If you're not, probably don't play it. If you're modifying, for sure, you can play this card. It obviously helps that too. But it is a little clunky for sure. So more of like a fixer or anything else. But cool limited card. Cool limited card. High speed hover bike. I want to know who thought, if you were like 5 years ago, I found you. I said, hey, you, how you doing? What's up? There's going to be a Magic card in 5 years called High Speed Hover Bike. True or false? Who would have said true? Who would have said true, right? High Speed Hover Bike. Sure. 2 mana vehicle. Flash flying. When it ETBs, tap a creature. Crew 1. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. Not great sizing. It's only a 2/2. And you gotta tap your creature to crew it. So unless you're tapping a 1/1, you're like making your 2/2 into a flying 2/2 by tapping it isn't great also. Kind of cute that it taps things, but honestly, this card just feels sort of like, if it was like a 3/2 or something like that, even like a 3/1. But crewing a 2/2 vehicle doesn't really feel great to me. So, I don't know. It's kind of cute. It's a little tricky, but all in all, not super impressed for limited. It's probably fine, but not great. Vehicles have to have a pretty high power level to be good in limited, and this one's kind of eh. Iron Apprentice is next. Working on it. Raise your hand in chat. Remember Artbound Worker. This is Artbound Worker. right back. 1 mana, 1/1 with a counter on it. When it dies, put those counters on a creature you control. If you're playing a modified deck, this card plays. This card plays. And there are some sacrificey effects, which makes this card good as well. It's not great. It can also pass along non-counters. That's true. If it has some other counter on it, that's true. But yeah, this card's cool. Cool limited card. Definitely a card that could see play constructed if things turn out right. If you're modifying, really, really hard Swarm Shambler and stuff like that. Cool card. Up next is Mech Titan Core. Now, rewind 5 years ago, and if I were to tell you that there's a Voltron card in Magic, would you believe? Yeah, so it's a Megazord, right? Pay 5, exile this and 4 other artifact creatures in our vehicles. Make a Mega Titan, a 10/10 legendary flying, vigilance, trample, lifelink, haste, blah blah, all color, whatever card. If it leaves the battlefield, the other cards come back. It's a cute card, but it's not a very good card. It's fun. I'm sure I will assemble this at some point on stream. If we hit December 31st this year, all right, and I have not made Megazord at some point, y'all can unsub from me. You can unfollow me. You can write me off and never watch me ever again. All right, is that a deal? Shake on it. Shake. Cool. And then in limited, this card is it's probably fine, honestly, because it's an okay vehicle by itself, but if the game just like bogs down, you can just like, all right, well, I have these artifact creatures in play, sure, and go nuts. So it's cute. Mirror Box, 2 mana for an artifact. The legend rule does not apply to permanents you control. Each legendary creature you control gets 1/1/1. Each non-token creature you control gets 1/1 for each other creature, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, this is just a casual whatever card. I don't know what you... Like, having the same legend to play is not really an important thing to do, so whatever, I'm going to move on. Don't play this card limited. Network Terminal. 3 mana for an artifact. Tap for any color. Pay 1, tap another artifact you control to loot. It's a pretty good mana rock, honestly, because it's a mana rock that allows you to loot cards in the late game. It's pretty good flood insurance. Obviously, the amount of mana rocks aren't great, just in general, but if you're splashing and you want a mana sink or whatever, or want an artifact, this card can do that. This card can do that for sure. So, moving on to Ninja's Kanai. 1 mana artifact. Crypt creature has 1 tap, sack this, bolt any target, equip for 1. This card's fine. Just like a really weird lightning bolt. Like, tap mana, tap a creature, deal 3. You can break it up, obviously, which is kind of cool. But it's kind of weird that you just, like, don't get any other benefit at all for being equipped. But, yeah, it's a card. Papercraft Decoy. 2 mana for a 2/1. When it leaves the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. Obviously, a pretty awesome enabler for ninja decks. And honestly, just a good card. This card's just good. This card's just good. Attack. They block. All right. Trade. Pay 2. Draw a card. And the fact that like the fail state is just like a 2/1 for 2, which is fine. Also, this card's good. Great limited card. Surprisingly good limited card for a common artifact. This card seems very, very good though. And then obviously with ninjas and crap like that, you can do some really cool stuff too. And it's a frog. So in a vacuum, 4 mana for a 2/1 draw card. I mean, in limited, broken up over time, that's fine. So cool card. Cool. Limited card, obviously. But next card here is Patchwork Automaton. This is a 2 mana 1/1 with Ward 2. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a counter on this. It's okay. It's okay. If it counted artifacts ETBing, this card would be a lot better. You can usually use bloods and crap like that. As it stands, it's just okay. The Ward 2 is nice because it like allows it to survive their turn or two, so it's kind of like a setup card. But I just don't see this card like ever getting that big, and then you can just still kill it or whatever. It's just not a great card. In limited, it's fine because obviously it's a modifier creature, which is kind of cool. But Like, you just play this, then play an artifact next turn. It's a bear. It's modified with war, which is kind of fine. But yeah, overall, not super scalable or exciting. Just okay. Just okay. Reckoner Bank Buster. 2 mana for a 4/4 vehicle. EDBs with 3 charge counters on it. Pay 2, move a counter from it, and draw a card. Then if there are no charge counters on it, make a treasure token and a pilot token. This card's pretty good. This card is kind of weird because, like, you look at it and see a 4/4. What it actually just is Maze Mind Tome. And Maze Mind Tome is a pretty good control card. And then it's a Maze Mind Tome that instead of getting 4 life and drawing an extra card, you get a 4/4 vehicle and a treasure, which is kind of cool. So definitely kind of a cool card. It's kind of weird because, like, if they just kill your 1/1, you just can't use the vehicle. But it's kind of cool. I don't really know what deck wants this card, but it's good enough for sure. It could see playing constructed, then a great limited card. Obviously, card's great limited. Up next is Rito Sentinel. They mana for a 3/3 defender, which is fine. When it ETBs, a player mills 3 cards, and then put a card from the graveyard top of your library. Just like a middling limited card. If you want a blocker, it's like okay. Not a lot of graveyard stuff in this set, so the mills only matter, so whatever. Next card is Runaway Trash Bot. This card I like a lot. They're mana for a 0/4 trample. +1/+0 for each artifact and or enchantment in your graveyard. This card scales really well in a game limited. You know, as the game goes on, it gets bigger and bigger. It could easily be a 3/3 or 4/4. Super late in the game, it could probably be an 8 or 9 power creature with trample. That's super awesome. Blocks pretty well the turn you play it. You know, an 0/4 for 3 is good enough as far as blocking stuff. So super cool. What's up, Chris? How's it going, bud? Yeah, I like this card a lot in limited. Super cool card. Up next is Searchlight Companion. 3 mana for a 1/1 flyer. When it ETBs, make a colorless spirit creature token. Cool. Card's good. 2 bodies for 3 mana. Got a flyer. It's fine. Fine card. Cool limited card. Up next is Shrine Steward. 5 mana for a 3/2. That's not a good stat line. When it ETBs, you may search your library for an aura or shrine card. Reveal it. Put it in random shuffle. I feel like this is like a bone to all limited players out there that want to get shrines going. Like, here, take this last pick and like have it do something in your deck maybe. This card blows. Pretty bad. Obviously, if you have multiple shrine cards or multiple good aura cards, you can play this card. But a 3/2 for 5 is like, I mean, it better do something really, really good to pay for that, and that is not really, really good. So this is the card you're going to see go last in basically every draft, and probably will never see it in play for the entire history of the format. Simple as that. Surge Hacker Mech. 4 mana for a 5/5 menace vehicle. Cruise for 4. So chunky, but expensive. When it ETBs, damage equal to twice the number of vehicles you control to target creature or planeswalker opponent control. So by itself, this deals 2, which is pretty solid. Obviously a great limited card. Constructed-wise, though, I mean, vehicles isn't really like a thing, you know? There is the Omen Keel. I think the Omen Keel is really, really good if you're looking for a card that gains a lot of value. But, so you play this, deal 4 to the creature, I guess, save a vehicle in play, and just have some vehicles in play, you know? Sure. I mean, if there's a vehicle deck, sure, this card probably goes in it, but it is certainly an awkward one. Crew 4 is a lot. Because unfortunately, 1 pilot token can't crew this by itself, which is a huge problem. So, I don't know. I'm not seeing it. Up next is Thundersteel Colossus, your neutron payoff. 7 mana for a 7/7 trample haste with crew 2. Not a bad curve topper, honestly. Good stall breaker. Good reasonable card for like mid to late game. If your draft deck is like dying for a way to break through, the card's super solid. And then also like you can just block with it as well if you can't attack with it because the board's stalled. It's a cool card. I like it. Thundersteel Colossus. Cool limited card for decks looking to break through. Again, not a card you're always gonna play, but if you need to, if your draft deck needs a way to win the game, it's gonna do that for you. Tawashi Guidebot. 4 mana for a 2/1. When it ETBs, put a counter on a creature you control. So 4 mana for a 3/2. Let's be real here. At base minimum. Pay 4, tap, draw a card. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each modifier creature you control. Great draft card. So all the numbers that are written there aren't what they are. This is a 4 mana 3/2. That's tap 3 to draw a card. At minimum. At minimum. Could be a lot better than that too. That's a pretty good stat. So good draft card. Obviously much better if you're a modified deck, but honestly kind of like okay otherwise. Cool card. Cool draft card. Walking Skyscraper. If the 7 drop wasn't big enough for you, how about this one? It's a freaking building. 8 mana for an 8/8. And this is a creature, not a vehicle. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each modified creature you control. It's a trampler, and it has hexproof as long as it's untapped. This is a honking, chonking chonker.
Oh my god.
If you can get this thing down to like 6 mana, I think you're in amazing shape. This one's sweet. This one's sweet. I like it. I like it. Good payoff here. Doesn't have reach somehow, which is pretty ridiculous. But this is a honking, chonking chonker. Good end game card. Good end game card. Super huge. I mean, come to the channel lands. Now, these cards are unreal. If you're looking for best in show for the entire set, it's basically all the channel lands. We're going to go through them one by one. I have one picked out as my favorite one, and so on and so forth. But we'll go through them one by one. Just know that like these are probably the best cards in the set, and the cards this set, 10 years from now, it'll be, oh yeah, Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty. That's where the channel lands come from, right? So, first up is Seat of the Empire. This is the white legendary land. It's extremely important to note, folks. Opportunity cost is one of the most important things in Magic. All right? The cost to putting a card in your deck, the cost of playing a card, right? So, when you have some like really finicky 4-mana artifact that only works if things, whatever, the opportunity cost is huge because it costs a lot of mana, things have to work, it's just a huge cost. If things don't work, how bad is it going to be? The opportunity cost of these lands is essentially 0. The first copy of this card, the only downside is it's a non-basic land and it's not a plains. So if your opponent's playing Blood Moon or something like that, or you have a Glacial Fortress in your hand and you want to play it untapped, that's it. So almost nil. And the upside here is that your plains can be a spell at some point later in the game. Also legendary, so multiple copies are a little awkward too. But the first copy is very, very, very close to free opportunity cost-wise. Then if it's good, you can just play more of it because it's freaking awesome. So this one here is a plains legendary land. Channel, they all have a channel ability. They all also have the ability of channel, and the channel costs 1 less for each legend you control. So a little bit of, not super important. 3 mana, discard this, 4 damage to attacking or blocking creature. That's good. That's like actively good. Uncounterable ability, can kill attackers, and you channel from your hand, just so you don't know. So it's in your hand, discard this card, pay the cost, get the effect. So while 3 mana for a Gideon's Reproach or whatever is not amazing, if it's on your land and it just a plains or this card, that is so unbelievably good. So card is great. Card's phenomenal. Probably like a 2 of or a 3 of in a control deck. First one's free. Second one's mostly free. The third one is the point where it's like probably about half a land because you can't risk drawing 2 of them and needing them to both be lands. But the first 1 or 2 is like almost free. So extremely good. Next one is Otawara Soaring City. This one is a little bit weaker as far as like it just bounces, but a little bit better in older formats where you're playing a combo deck and you want to have that bounce spell to bounce their Chalice of the Void or their whatever. Uncounterable bounce spell to get rid of their hate permanent, their Leyline of the Void, whatever it is. Also very, very good. It's a Star Destroyer from Star Wars. Sure, that's great. Yeah, very, very good, obviously. I think a little worse in Standard than some of the other ones, but better in older formats as far as, Marit Lage tokens, whatever. It's uncounterable way to bounce your crap, basically. Echoing Truth, whatever kind of thing. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool for the blue one. The black one is the Abandoned Mire. This one is a little interesting. 4 mana to channel this. You mill 3. Then return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's a raise dead, but you also mill some cards too. So a little extra value there. Again, it's just a land that can turn into a threat, which is super awesome, which is pretty cool. We go to the Crucible of Defiance, which is going to be our best in show. This one's unreal. Obviously, as a red land, usually going to be in a more aggressive deck. Red decks really don't want to flood. You really want to have your flood insurance, right? So this thing makes 2 haste tokens uncounterably. So you can end step, you can block with them, you can attack with them. Cashing in your land, your mountain, for an uncounterable raise the alarm with haste is awesome. This card is like definitely a 2 of, possibly a 3 of the red aggro decks. This card is awesome. This card is so good. It's super, super good. I've already explained why they're good for the most part, but yeah, super awesome. It's great in with like Indomitable creativity and things like that. I'm gonna make tokens. It's good in aggressive decks. Just so good. Just so good. Tokens are colorless for some reason. I don't know why, but they are. This can block a core Firewalker, which is kind of cool. So definitely super, super awesome. Super, super awesome. And we move on. Get your pitchforks ready, folks. Move on to the last one in here.
It's a trap.
Besiege You, our trap card. Now, this card's good. This is not, this card is unplayable. However, this card is not the end-all, be-all of the universe. This card is specifically good in older formats that include the cards Expedition Map, Life from Alone, Amulet of Vigor. It's as a tutorable answer. Card's phenomenal. Card's insanely good in older formats, for sure, for sure. Aside from that, this just isn't really a card you want to like actively play in a vacuum. Power level wise, this is by far the worst of the set in a vacuum. Not thinking about Blood Moon, not thinking about Expedition Map, and so on and so forth. And Assassin's Trophy kind of blows. Giving your opponent untapped land is a huge, huge drawback. This is not just like a naturalize on a land, all right? This is a break in case of emergency, I need a specific answer to things, I need it now kind of card. We don't want to just be killing sagas with this, killing this with that, whatever. This is here to do very, very specific things in formats that don't need those things to be done. It's not really like the most important card. Again, opportunity cost here is super, super, super low because it's just a forest for the most part. But this is not a card that like you just play. You need to have a super specific reason to play it. And, set review wise, we're looking a little more towards like standard and stuff like that too. And this is worse than Assassin's Trophy in the sense of like they can get a Triome, they can get a dual land, it comes in untapped. So the cost here is extremely high. Extremely high. Think of it, it's sort of like, I don't say Field of Ruins. Field of Ruins pretty good, but it's also not a forest too. So yeah. So this card is good. Do not get me wrong. But I think people are way, way, way high on this card. And it's not as universally, good. It's the worst. It's sort of like Prime Time. It's sort of like Primeval Titan, where it's by far the worst of a cycle in a vacuum, but in certain circumstances, it's the best card of the cycle, right? Without Valakut, without Field of the Dead, Primeval Titan just isn't very good. It's like, it's fine. It's okay. When in concert with these cards, it becomes broken. It's the best one by far, But without those cards, like that card wouldn't see play in standard right now. It's just a 6/6. Who cares? Like the lands are getting don't really matter. So temper expectations. Again, very good card. Probably going on my cube. Again, great card to tutor for in older formats, but it is not just like, free naturalize, go crazy, yada, yada, yada. So that's my piece on that one. It's still very good. Don't get me wrong. This is not me saying this card is bad, but y'all are overrating it a little bit for sure. Moving on. Mech Hanger. We have a colorless land. This taps for any mana of any color for pilot or vehicle spells. So it's a base camp for pilots that comes in untapped. And it also makes your vehicles into artifact creature. So this is actually a pretty sweet land. If there's a vehicle deck, this card's it. Because this is a land that can create vehicles. And again, the big problem with vehicles are you don't want to be in a spot where you look down at your board, you have vehicle, 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 and no creatures. I've been there before. It sucks. So super cool card. And it can create any vehicle, no downside. It's no requirement necessary. So kind of cool. Untapped synergy land. Pour one out for base camp, huh? Pour one out for poor base camp here. This card could definitely see play. If there's a vehicle deck, this card is a major part of it for sure. Roadside Reliquary, another cool land here. Taps for colorless, comes in untapped. Pay 2, sacrifice it, and draw a card if you control an artifact. Draw a card if you control enchantment. Card sweet. Being colorless lands are a pretty big drawback, but if you draw 2 of us, it's pretty awesome. Again, having an artifact enchantment in play is not super easy, but if you can do it, if it's a deck that wants this, cool. We'll see. And then up next is Secluded Courtyard. Base Camp. Why do you do this to Base Camp? So this is just a better version of Unclaimed Territory, a card that sees play in multiple formats. Comes into play untapped. Choose a creature type. Taps for 1 mana of any color for that creature. Or to activate an ability of that creature. That's just insanely good. It's just better than Unclaimed Territory. So we'll see play in every format. Great card. Get him now. Honestly, kind of awesome. This card's an uncommon, not a rare. Because that's just a little bit like not greedy from Wizards, which is really weird. So that's cool. Go to Uncharted Haven. EDB tapped, any color. This card's not very good. This card was good in Kaldheim because it was a snowland. Without that benefit, much less exciting. You want to splash off his land, you can do that, but not the most exciting card. It's just okay. And then we come on to the gain lands. The gain lands return. And the most important thing here is the effect they're going to have on limited. So there's an entire cycle of dual lands, which means that splashing is a possibility. Not saying necessarily want to splash, but they are there to splash if you want to. Didn't really look like there was much multi-card stuff going on as far as the each gold card feels insular to its own colors kind of thing. But they're there. They're available to splash. Common dual lands, take them because they're there. And, Dormant Falls. You get the idea. Some common lands. We've seen those before. So, that's that. Windscarred Crag. And that is it. That is the set review. We are all done. YouTube folks, love you. Like, comment, subscribe. Remember, coming up, we've got 10 new brews this coming Thursday. I'll be at SEG Philly on Friday and Saturday. Come say hi if you're going to be there. And then, Monday, I'll be hanging out with Todd Anderson on stream again. We're going to redo the time shift thing on Monday. Tuesday, Bronze and Mythic starts. Tons of stuff happening. All right, coolstuffinc.com. Check my sponsors. My articles will be up for the new brews as always. And also Paladar pre-release. So if you want to play the Paladar pre-release, please. That'll be Sunday when the set releases. Free to play for subscribers and YouTube members. That's in my Discord. Go to Discord stuff. I'm done. I love you all. YouTube, thank you for watching. You're all great. If you missed anything, it'll be up on YouTube. Now I'm not going to go to bed because I got to put these videos up on YouTube with Nicole. So Nicole, get your butt down here if you're watching, and we got some work to do. All right? YouTube folks, love you. Like, comment, subscribe.